whole business model was just about doing open source software, as far as I know. And I thought it was this amazing medical image and medical visualization company. And then I joined Kitware and realized that they did so much more. And so what they try to boil it down to is that they do collaborative software development for data analysis, data visualization. And really expands the area of medical imaging, scientific visualization, data management, and computer vision. But all of this is really centered on the fact that it's high quality software, this open source software that they're doing in the middle. And, but it's this consulting that they then add on top of that to help businesses, pharmaceutical companies, oil and gas companies, banking industry, on and on and on, use that open source software in order to solve hard problems within the company. So about 40% of the company is PhDs. And really, what I thought was this medical imaging company ends up being this company that's still only about 100 people, but they're impacting all these different areas. So we have ParaView, which is running on 5 of the 6 world's fastest computers, winning IEEE HPC awards for open source software that has impact on the field, on and on, as well as ITK, VTK, and the other toolkits we'll talk about today. So there was a lot more to it than what I ever realized. But today I am talking about the medical side of things within this company and Slicer. So, but before we get into Slicer, again, I'm going to give you a little bit of the background of what we do. So we, I got to know Kitware when Kitware began its first real large medical imaging project, and this is the Insight Toolkit. And this is an open source toolkit that was funded by the National Library of Medicine. Other institutes at the NIH ended up contributing money as well, but it's really an impressive collection of people that they funded initially out of the gate was to the tune of about $13.5 million between 1999 and 2004, 2005. What we're looking at now in 2014 is ITK, or the Insight Toolkit. If you go to MIGI, if you go to ISB, if you go to these medical image processing conferences, it ends up at 80% of the software that's out there that's being used will in some way involve ITK. And so it's really been a success story. What it represents is 1.5 million lines of code with contributions from around the world going into this. And if it had to be repeated using that Copenhagen model, you know, the estimate is that there'd be 452 man-years of effort to repeat this work. And so it's this massive open source library out there that's very well known. And other toolkit, this is the foundational toolkit to Kitware, is called VTK. And VTK is, we have an R01 grant actually to continue the development of VTK, the visualization toolkit. So how many of you all have heard of VTK before? Some people have heard of Kitware, I'm training, right? And so it ends up being one of our really powerful toolkits that does distributed medical visualization, scientific visualization, informatics, on and on. And it operates not just on the supercomputers, but all the way down to your phone. And so we have a QEView, or a mobile version of VTK, all the way up to supercomputers. Now, Kitware, though, isn't just medical visualization. It isn't just visualization software added space. All right, so I also have grants from the NIH in order to do exploratory research. And so there's even more layers of depth within Kitware than what you might realize. And so here, for example, we're looking at traumatic brain injury. So when these people come in to present in the ER, and they've just been in a major car accident, they've just had a sporting accident where they got hit by a baseball bat, something along those lines, and they've undergone this traumatic brain injury. You do an MRI scan on them, and what you would like to know is, all right, what are the areas of the brain that are affected? What's the prognosis on this person? You know, how well are they going to be able to recover? And what should I do in order to speed that recovery? So what portions of the brain are being affected, and how are they affected? The difficulty is that these traumatic brain injuries can just be massive changes within the brain. And trying to figure out what parts were impacted to what degree is really quite difficult, because it looks like everything was impacted. Everything was affected. Well, we've come up with a way, by doing research in collaboration with UNC and USC, we've come up with a way of actually reconstructing of what that brain probably looked like before that traumatic brain injury occurred. So we have a way of, based on population statistics, of doing these reconstructions, just like they do facial reconstructions for bones. Well, we're doing that on brain. So if you look at the good part, you kind of piece the pieces together, and kind of do this synthesis of what that person probably looked like, and then work backwards from there into where they're at today, to understand the disease that occurred, the trauma that occurred. And we have these published in journal articles as Well, we can simulate that person walking, running, so forth and so on. We're using these new Google Tango devices. We've been collaborating with Google for a while. And Google Tango device, this is a tablet with non-visible light projection into a scene that allows it to computate the depth of the points within that scene. All right, so it's a depth map generator. Also has stereo cameras that it's generating from, one of them being a live color image. Has really high precision GPS and inertial navigation devices within it and so forth. And so it can quickly come up with a 3D model of the scene. Well, we've taken that and we've applied it in the medical domain. So one of the things that we're doing is what I'm showing here is here's an ultrasound being acquired and as this tablet is being held over the patient. So we're tracking the tablet and we're tracking the patient as this ultrasound image is being acquired. This allows us to find out where within that patient that ultrasound is done and also generate a 3D model from that ultrasound image. What you can then do is, given that 3D model that is registered with the skin of the patient, you can continue to track the skin of the patient as the needle is being inserted and track the position of that needle in order to give guidance to how far in it should be moved, what angle it should be moved at, so forth and so on, in order to reach the vessel. And then in order to convey that information back onto or into the physician who's doing that needle insertion, we can actually hook up a little pico projector onto that tablet and have that pico projector project the image onto the skin of the person saying, oh, here's your heads-up display for your physician, or here's the little display on the physician, here's the X where the needle should go in, and here's 2 little meters which indicate the depth and angle at which that needle should be moved. And so it's really a powerful technique all embedded within a tablet and an ultrasound probe that plugs into that tablet. So, there we're looking towards solving kind of in-field or difficult problems involving novel hardware, as well as image registration and image reformatting, tracking, so forth and so on. All these and bringing together technologies that give the research that we're doing now. We're working with UNC in order to look at microvasculature and how it changes with respect to the tumor, in order to distinguish benign from malignant tumors and tumors that are responding to cancer treatment well from tumors that are not responding to treatment well. All by looking just at the vasculature using this novel ultrasound probe from UNC. This is work that we've been doing, participating in with UNC for a decade. And so really what we're looking at is all of that software, all of that research that I showed you there, it was built on top of open source software. And so Kitware was involved in the open source software level, the algorithm level. This is within the medical field. We're doing the same thing in computer vision, so forth and so on. So a 100-person company, we're really getting out there and having impact in the field. And the reason why we're able to do this, or what's going on, is that we're actually collaborating with a large number of people. So that ultrasound device that I was talking about, that's actually a commercial system, and they're one of our collaborators on this project. And so it is a proprietary system that they have. Often we then interface with proprietary display devices such as the Google tablet, but we generate that open source software that's independent. So if you talk to a lot of people when they come to open source, and including some of the people at Kitware, they're open source zealots. It's like you do open source and you do nothing else. All right, if it's not open science, if you're not doing that, you're not contributing to society. All right, you're money grabbing evil person. Well, we're not quite there. All right, we aren't that zealot because what we realize is that the challenges that are stricken out research, the challenges that are presented often out there in the real world, are being brought to us by companies. And so we are happy for open source software to be part of the solution of these things. And so it is, when you hear me speak and talk about open source today, realize that I fully acknowledge the importance of some closed source software, proprietary hardware for displaying inputs, so forth and so on. But what open source allows you to do is bring together academia and industry. So you can have that open source being used in those commercial projects, but also within your own labs. You could be contributing to it and having it have positive impact on all of the industry, as well as having positive impact throughout academia. And so it's happy to coexist with projects. We're not zealots. Nonetheless, this model has allowed us to have massive communication, collaborations around the world. 75 academic institutes, 50 governments, governmental agencies, and over 100 commercial companies right now are collaborating with various projects. Now, the interesting things are those people who collaborate with us who we don't even know. All right, so on your left, that's one of our collaborators. All right, that's hot. All right, so Zaga is actually just some character I downloaded off the web from World of Warcraft. Well, we found out just a couple of years ago that actually World of Warcraft is being compiled so Zog out there actually can be attributed. He's one of our collaborators. Another one of our collaborators is actually the guy on the road there, the surgeon. And that's because that device that he's looking at is a brain lab system. And so it is a surgical navigation system which tracks ultrasound probes, tracks needles, registers them with the patient, so forth and so on. And that is built using VTK, our visualization software. Those visualizations that he is looking at is using our software. Now the cool thing about these customers of ours, we actually had no idea that they were doing any of this. They never paid us a dime. We were in no way involved in the work whatsoever. And yet here we are, affecting every gamer in the world and affecting those with brain tumors, all via the same software platform. And so we love this, and we're happy for them to take our software and do these amazing things with it. So we get a lot of satisfaction from it. So what we're trying to say here, another way of looking at open source is use open source, don't reinvent the wheel. So when I'm talking about our software, ITK, BTK, CMake, Parity that I mentioned here, we're looking at 130,000 plus downloads per month for our software. So as you sit in your lab and you think about the work that you have to do, and you look at open source out there and say, I don't want to bother learning that new tool fix or something along those lines, realize you're standing on the shoulder of giants. So don't be that guy who constantly reinvents everyone else's wheel. All right, go and use it. And so the flip side of this is, if you don't do things open source, if you really just keep everything closed, you don't publish all your data, you don't make your software available to people and so forth, the most negative way that the flip side of the opposite of open source can be presented, if I want to get extreme in my presentation. Here are two extremely talented, proven researchers within the cancer research area, both within academia and industry. They went ahead and tried to replicate the results from 53 landmark papers. All right, these are journal article publications, so this is the traditional way of disseminating your research, was writing these publications. Well, they tried to replicate these results, them in their labs. Right? And after many years of effort, they found that 47 of those 53 results could not be replicated. Right? And when you talk about results, you think, oh, wow, that's kind of bad. Right? You know, here's scientific issues coming to question. You have to realize these were radiation oncology related papers. These were papers that actually standard of care for patients with cancer were being driven by these papers. I mean, these papers would recommend dosage on chemicals. They would recommend dosage on radiation therapy. I mean, these were things that were affecting patient lives via these publications. And here they were not replicated. So this is the opposite of open source, because we look at a publication not just as the paper, but as the software that went into it, as the data that went into it. You can replicate everything that we do because it's based on open source software. And that's really what science should be striving for, and that's the hallmark of academic success. And it is really hand in hand with open source software. So how do you contribute to this awesome open source software that exists out there? Well, really it's advocacy. And so you want to focus on writing code that other people can use and will want to use. That's what we shoot for with open source software. That's the attitude we should have. And so what that means is that you as a developer down there in the middle, you contribute your code to this open source repository. There's tools for taking that code every night and testing it automatically for you, recompiling it on a bunch of platforms, and then submitting the results to a web page so that other people can find out whether or not your code is actually working. All right? And then they can also give you feedback on it, and the process repeats. This is open source software that's well supported by GitHub and a bunch of tools that are out there living somewhere everywhere. And so you can do this for free. And you're like, wow, that's kind of a big pain though, that outdoor repository, everything along those lines. So you might be thinking to yourself, listen, instead of trying to make my sort of open source software, I'm going to focus instead on doing my publication, getting my dissertation done, getting tenure. All right, I want to work towards that. This open source software is going to take a lot of my time and not have a lot of benefits. Well, there you are, the professor. All right, let's say you're shooting for getting tenure. All right, we want to focus on that. Well, part of getting tenure, I'll admit it, is having a great group of students in order to support your research. All right, so here is your awesome group of students that you have supporting your research, helping you go towards tenure with your publications and your proposals. Well, you have Bob, the awesome student who, though, one day graduates. All right, so it's no longer in your lab. Everyone had really liked Bob. Bob was really one of your great performers. He had developed a lot of the software that was used throughout your lab and showed the great results on that last paper that was submitted, but now he's graduated. And so what happens after graduating? Well, you know, your other students in your lab start coming to you and they're like, you know what? I can't find Bob's code. Where did he put that again? Or Bob's code is compiling for me. It just won't work. Or I can't replicate Bob's results. You know, his code works. I input the data, but I get completely different results. Or I just send Bob an email. Listen, he's not responding to my emails. Well, Bob's offering me money. It's been 6 months now. Bob doesn't really think about that student. He's done there. He's moved on. What do you as a professor do? Well, the solution to this is that open source software. That attitude of writing code that other people can use can be embodied just within your lab. And so Bob, if you had used that repository, used that 90-day testing, if this professor had made him do that, then that would have flown down and been available to all of his graduates. And I'm saying this from my own practice. Again, I was a professor in radiology. I had a lab with 13 faculty and staff in it. And I got to know Kitware during the development of it because I used their open source practices within my own lab. And it changed the productivity of my lab. It was amazing what we could accomplish because every grad student, every new person in my lab was truly able to build on the previous people within my lab. And so I'm speaking from experience that this works. And the neat part is it's then easy to transition from software that's shared within your lab to software that's shared around the world. So with that in mind, we're going to switch over and start talking about Slicer. And 3D Slicers is impacting the world. We're looking at a total of 172,000 downloads of this software around the world. And it's amazingly capable. And the software wasn't just written within Kitware or within this small community, but you're looking at over 100 developers contributing code to the core of Slicer. Plus now we have an app store for Slicer, which is growing rapidly, with contributions from around the world as well. So with that in mind, Jason. While he's setting up, are there any questions or comments on this? Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to ask that if you're going to be promoting open source software, that you find a way to somehow designate certain products that are in open source software as having proper and reasonable documentation.
No question. Yep.
There, you know, it would seem to me like somebody would start a repository where the software has to pass certain hurdles before they even present it to everybody.
You know, there's a flip side. There's two different. Okay. Did I do that?
I think you switch over to
Laptop.
yeah. Yep. And once you switch over to laptop.
It goes to notes. That's what I did.
Okay.
I'm sorry. And so so the neat thing, for example, IPK is now down to is now up to a 2-volume book that we have that's available as a free PDF as well as something you can get from Amazon. BTK has a book, CMake has a book. It's all have large amounts of documentation. And it's really, you're right in that there's an aspect of quality of the documentation that needs to be addressed, the quality of the software. And when I say open source, I mean open source that's freely available for academic and industry use. Even more damaging is that open source software, which is like, oh, you can use this except for you can't use it unless in the worst case, approve your publication. Or, less bad than that is unless you try to make a profit off of this. Or you're incompetent, or so forth and so on. It was actually interesting that there's been this ruling that applying for a grant is a for-profit effort. And so it's been argued even that some of these licenses, which for academic use are only, actually might result in academic use as long as you're also not using it to apply for a grant. And so there's some really interesting challenges with some of the legal terms that are being added to the software. But when I say open source and everything I've mentioned so far today, I believe it's also it's really full open source.
Thanks, Stephen. Hi, everybody. My name is Jean-Christophe of AC. And during this talk, we're going to last 30-40 minutes. We're going to be hands-on, and I'm going to show how to use Slicer. We're going to cover a few topics. How to load data, how to segment data manually, automatically, how to register multiple data sets together. And then, depending on how things go with the time, we're going to do some hands-on Python scripting of Slicer to show show how to tinker with the underlying object. And then if things go well, we're going to implement a module to compute the line intensity profile with the user interface and everything. Then if things go very well, we're gonna publish the package on the App Store in the experimental channel. Okay, it means today's talk I use the latest stable release slicer 4.4.0, but you can download on download.slicer.org. You just click on the small icon. All the data set I'm going to be using are freely available. I'm gonna send a link and create a page after the talk with all the link if you want to replicate what you're gonna see today. Okay, it means we're gonna start slicer. Is the font big enough? I don't think I'm gonna increase the font and just see what I'm typing. Just going to start slicer, very straightforward. After extracting the archive, you're going to start with the table. On Windows, there is an installer. You double click, you install, then you're going to get the small icon and you want to start menu. What you're going to do, you're going to try to load some DICOM images. DICOM is the well-known standard for medical images. When you get a scanner, MRI, CT scan, the associated data are stored in packs under the DICOM format. And within Slicer, we can easily import and load DICOM. Here, I'm going to just load the CT of a mummy, of a female mummy. And I just select it, I click load. And here we got the scan. We can you have three slice viewer in the middle, and then on the right side you have a 3D viewer. You can rotate. You can adjust the window leveling of your slice. You can zoom in, zoom out. You can move the slice around. You use the middle button. And what you can do to the volume module, you are able to see the histogram of your data. You're able to do some thresholding, change the preset. And what you can do, you can also visualize in 3D that slice. If I click on the small icon, the eye icon here, I can see my slice, and then if I slice through volume, I can see this. Similarly, if I want to see the 3D axis, I just click on the small lock button and do that. And now again, I just slice through my volume. Something else you can do, let's say you want to slice not following the sagittal coronal and the standard axis, we can resize the volume along any direction. And I can easily do that clicking on the small show reformat widget icon. And here, I end up with a small widget that allows me to adjust the plane alongside which one I will reslice my volume. And now, if I slice through, it's along that axis. You can also do more fancy stuff if you, for example, click on. Okay, next thing it will do, it will also volume render that data set. And to do so, first let's hide the slice. Let's also hide the widget. Do the volume rendering, and then we click on the volume on the small eye icon, and we see the mummy. Great, but now we want to peel up you want to see the inside of the model, and you also want to choose a better preset associated with the transfer function. And then here you have a list of presets you can choose. CT, for MRI, and then I'm just going to select this one. And to see things more clearly, I'm going to switch in 3D only. And then what I can do, I can just shift the transfer function, and then we're going to see the inside of the memory. Now we got the skull, and then let's say you want to see inside the skull. You can now show a cropping widget, and you can easily adjust what you want to visualize. That's going to be very useful. They're going to turn out to be very useful if, for example, you have a tumor in the brain and you want to visualize that in 3D with the volume rendering, and you can crop around your tumor and visualize that. You're going to see that shortly. Okay. Another example of volume rendering. Let's load. You have a set of sample data you can load off the web. We already downloaded them, and they're going to load fairly quickly. And I'm going to switch the layout back to conventional. And here I have my slide view. I can slice through, and I can let's do the volume rendering. Okay. Select data set, visualize, and now we got the chest. And same thing, if we shift the transfer function, we're going to be able to peel the different layer. Let's select. Yeah, better set. And if I peel up, I can see bone, tube, come back, see the skin, up to the patches, and then the clothing is coming through. Okay, great. That's awesome to do screenshot and put in your blog post and your publication. But now let's do some analytics on the data. What you're going to do, you're going to look at segmentation, and we're going to load a data set with a tumor in the brain, and we're going to try to extract that tumor, visualize that tumor, and find out if that tumor is shrinking or growing over time. Let's close the scene. Yes, Slicer has a concept of scene. It means each time you load data, you can append new data to the scene, or you can close the scene, and then you just reset to a default state. Okay, for this, you're going to load the MR brain tumor. editor module in Slicer. You can go in module editor or just click on this pen here, create a default label map, and here it is. The tedious way would be to select whatever label you want, and then you draw on every slice. And and then you go to the next one, etc. Or you could use some effect like the magic wand, like that effect. But pretty tedious to do that. You also like dilate effect. Yeah, live. Yeah. And then doing that on every slice and zooming in, zooming out, you will get there, but that's gonna be delicate. What you could do is use an algorithm that you call shortcut, and that will speed up the process. And in like few seconds, you're gonna segment the entire tumor. You do that. Let's start from a clean plate. So now data set. Okay. Here we are. You go back to the editor and okay. To do that, I will just roughly draw inside the tumor. And then I'm going to select another label around it. And then I'm going to use the Groker effect. And that's pretty much. And then I click apply. And the demo effect to work out. And yeah, here I just segmented the tumor across the entire volume. And then you're gonna just get rid of the yellowish label by just clicking on the save item effect, and then you click here, I get rid of everything else. And now I got that, great. Let's get an idea of what it looks in 3D. What you could do, you go back conventional or widescreen layout, and then if you click on a small mesh model effect here, it's gonna allow you to create in 3D your tumor. What you can do here, you can use Rocker to extract the tumor, and then you could do some fine tuning, and if there's some noise around, you could erase things, and then you will get you click again on the create model effect, and then you can adjust your model like that. And then you get that model. What you can do with model in Slicer, oh, by the way, you can load your own model. For example, what you call a model, for example, STL file, if you do 3D printing, you can load STL file in Slicer, and you can save as STL. And they are all represented as what we call model. And then there's a models module, and where things are organized in a hierarchical way. And for example, here if I click on my tissue or tumor, and you can see some information, surface area, volume, number of points, etc. You get some metric here. You can also adjust opacity, you can change the color, you can do a lot of interesting things. You can also temperature or some information about directionality, or you could like visualize this scalar array that are associated with your model, and you could show you can colorize your model based on the scalar information associated with each cell or point. And then you could also display a bar on the side with the scale. You can also clip your model. For example, here. But yeah. Anyway, now let's try to find out if the tumor grow or shrink. And for that, we have another data set, a follow-up scan, and we're gonna try to see if that tumor shrink or grow. And to do that, to do so, we're gonna have to first load two data set. First one, second one, and now let's go back to websites. What I can do is show the first one, the second one, and I can change the opacity, and I can see that they are not aligned, and we have to do some comparison. The first step would be to manually align them, and with that manual alignment, you're gonna feed that back into another another module that will automatically finalize the registration. There is a transform module inside that allows you to create a new linear transform, and I'm gonna add the second volume under the transform, and then I can do some rough manual alignment. Let's look at this slide. Okay. Now we have it's not yet perfect, but we have better alignment. And now we can feed that into a module that can automatically register the alignment of the module. If you go in the registration and you click general registration, then you can select the fixed image, your fixed volume, your moving volume. Great. New volume output, initialization transform, the one we just created, and apply registration, and we start the registration. Okay, it's done. And really good. And what you can see also is, let's zoom on the tumor. You can see that second scan, here that's the first one, here that's the second one with the line. You can see that it grows a little bit. But great, but can we visualize that better? Yes, you can. There is a slicer as an app store or an extension manager where people contribute module, and we're gonna install one of these. I guess. Okay. Extension manager. Great. And then we're gonna install the extension. What that's gonna do is every night, if needed, we rebuild all this extension against the different package, the one for Windows, the Linux Mac. That way, if the extension is updated, you can get the new version of your extension, and that's pretty cool. Let's install it. Okay, it's installed, and now I can start, and I should be able to open that extension. It's pretty crazy. We are downloading a plugin, and it's pretty cool. Right there. And then, what do we have? If you just look for change tracker, yes, excellent. Here I have change tracker, and it asks me for baseline and follow-up scan. The great thing is that if the images are fairly aligned, you're going to proceed to the general registration, and you're going to manage to align the image. You don't have to do any manual step. One, go back, change tracker, the first one, second one. And what's also very nice is that that extension is implemented following a workflow. You're going to see a first step, a second step, and a fourth step, etc. And if you want to implement similar modular workflow, it provides a basic building block to do so. And that in Python, and you could even do that without having to restart slicer, as I think have time to show you later. Okay, next. Here the idea is to select two more. Okay. And as you can see in the 3D, it's already like extracting the tumor for us to visualize it. Okay, and that looks pretty good. Next. 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 And as soon as it's done, you are able to see the difference in growth of the tumor. And here we got some metric growth 1.24 millimeter, no shrinkage, not a good sign. But yeah, you can see like an initial location again, that module, the change tracker, is written in Python and is invoking other modules and combining the result of all these modules together to put together a meaningful and easy to use workflow. Because otherwise, you will have to do a lot of manual steps to get to the same result. And here, like with few clicks, you can get to some interesting results. Okay. Let's look again at the slide. See where we are. Visualization covered, segmentation, manual and automatic, registration. Talk about the window leveling. Yes, some interesting things. When I mouse over here on the bottom left, you can see some information about what's the name of the table map, what's the name of the foreground volume, background, and you can see the coordinates in anatomical space, and then the associated value, and that's pretty nice to do that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Earlier, Stephen talked about sharing the data, and that's not always easy to do that. Where do I want to upload the data? Directly from Win Slicer, you can upload what's called a SIM alongside with the data. You can package that into a bundle, an archive, upload that to a server, and other people will be able to download the data and load them, and you can also get the link and reference that. For example, let's close the scene and let's go to the data store. And earlier I installed the change tracker extension using a similar interface, and here we have it's the parallel. We have the feature, the functionality in what we call extension manager, and then we have the data in the data store, and it's the same organization. You have category, and then you can search for that, class, NAC, and I will load, if it doesn't take too long, I'll download that. Yeah, let's just cancel this number. Waiting. So you got the idea. Here you have like a lot of data set. And the one I wanted to show you was all the different parts of the brain segmented and all the corresponding model to like toggle on off visualize inside stuff. Okay. Slicer can be used to do also like TI, TI fiber tracking, visualization, radiotherapy, low-volume histogram computation, and you have extension to do all these things. As I mentioned, it's an extensible framework and not an extension. You can easily write your own. An extension. What is an extension? An extension is something that combines together a module and allow you to deliver them into Slicer. And you have three kinds of module you can deliver. What we call a CLI. It's a C++ executable, C++ code compiled. It's ITK code. It's a standalone executable that you can, that Slicer can discover and generate the GUI for you. And for example, we have things like Gaussian blur, and that's like a CLI where the interface is automatically generated, the image. What else? C++ module, they have access to the full API, and they can leverage the full slicer API. A little bit more involved and more work, and then we have the Python module, which are not requiring any compilation step, and you have more flexibility, access to more of the slicer API. It's when you want to write an extension for slicer, look at first CLI, can I do things in a simple executable, and then you can look at the other option. We don't have time to cover to do some Python scripting. I could still quickly show you how it works. For example, if you load a data set, then if you open the Python console, in the Python logo, you can easily get the reference of any volume, like their name, and then you can get their display property, you can change them. For example, here I can set the threshold. But yeah, but you can like introspect the entire API, the completion. And yeah, and if you have more time, I can show you how to get the data, and then NumPy can manipulate underlying data. What you can also do, you can easily create any GUI element. Blur button.
know it's interfaced with social, but yeah, there's a couple of examples out there. Yes.
I saw a PET extension on one of the slides,
Yes.
which brought up my question. Do most imaging hardware pieces that medical facilities going to use output STL files, or does somebody have to write an extension to convert whatever data they create to STL?
Yeah, the data that comes out of most of the machines, like PET machine, CT, and so forth, is all DICOM format. And so the DICOM format is an amazingly capable and yet hardly utilized format. And so within the DICOM format, there are structured reports in which you can have things such as acidose curves from PET, you can have particle variations, and so forth and so on. And so your models and your representations, you can have matching plots, all that can be stored within the DICOM. And some manufacturers now are starting to adopt that as a standard. And so that the data gets written to packs in a way that other viewers, such as slicer, when you load it in, you can actually load and view that data. Regretfully, the honest truth is that most of the vendors still use proprietary formats for their data structure. So even though they store it within the data, they store it within, store it within the DICOM format. The vendors always have an option of adding their own tags to the format. And so they'll put like a JPEG screenshot of it in the image and then embed everything else into proprietary exotic group number fields. And so it's hard to get access to. But we really see a change in the industry now. And so if you had asked me that question 5 years ago, my response actually wouldn't have even mentioned the DICOM aspects of it. And so I expect that with the availability of tools like this, as well as the movement of patients now between service providers more and more, we're going to have the data going with them. There's going to have to be compatibility. The VA is going to demand it, and manufacturers will respond.
And will Slicer handle the native resolution of the machine?
Yes. VTA at its heart is a wonderful data streaming approach. You can process images much larger than what you can fit in memory. Slicer doesn't take full advantage of that, so you are memory constrained. However, it is very efficient in its use of that. But the data does have to be able to be stored wholly in memory within Slicer. Parity itself can do arbitrary size things and does.
And very interesting.
Good question. I know at one time you had wrappers for PHP, I think in Java, you got Python wrappers. Is there any more languages that you guys support these days, or what's the newer? I mean, I'm sure there's lots of languages popping up these days. What's the word that, what's kind of popular? If you could wrap it with another language, what would you do?
The Python kind of this roller coaster ride for a short bit there. It got really popular fast and then kind of fell off. Now we really do see a resurgence within the scientific field for the support of Python. IPython is like a leading big part of that. And so if I had to pick one language to wrap something into, Python would be it. ITK has a native wrapping into Python, as well as this version of ITK called Simple ITK that does this wonderful wrapping in a Python-esque way into Python. VTK supports that, so forth and so on. Other languages that are supported, I'm not the best one to answer that, but we use table Swig for this. And Swig can wrap into a large number of languages. And we've had to make, there's challenges when you have heavily templated code with wrapping into these other languages. But we've even demonstrated down to JavaScript. And I forget
Do you guys implement or include the shaders in your code, or is it, or do you not use the shaders?
We have code that uses those shapers, but we also do very strong. So PTK6 just came out with support for OpenGL2 as its default requirement, so we're taking advantage of those modern capabilities. However, at the same time, we released a version where within that same PTK, you can have that OpenGLES, you can have it run on a portable version, which doesn't have shaders associated with it. And so it'll adapt to what is available in the environment, as well as what makes sense.
Any other questions? So if we got a lot of undergraduate students here, so if you could give them some advice, I mean, what do you think it takes to be successful in this, coming out of an undergraduate program, and, if you were looking to hire undergraduate programs, things like
All right,
that.
understood.
What do you think would be the winning combination for?
Well, one, Kitware is hiring right now, and then two, Kitware is hiring right now, and three, Kitware is hiring right now. We're really, the growth that we're going through, we've had, even when the economy was bad, we were going through 30% growth. I think that this notion of open source software and is something that is pervasive across fields, as well as it is something that is receiving government, industry, academic attention. And so I feel in that regard, having some sense of that has value, especially for kids like Kitware. But looking at industry, so we sit on these advisory groups or Johns Hopkins and some other places, along with other industry people. So this is non-Kitware specific advice. If you want to go into scientific computing, engineering, these are people who are from Willow Garage, doing robotics, so forth and so on, C++. I know it's not emphasized at most undergraduate institutes, and so it's rare that we have people who have that skill set coming in the door. But if you have that skill set to some degree, that is viewed, in my mind, and I think the vast majority of the interviewing for the company, for my group in North Carolina, if you have strong C++